It's only the beginning of the grape ripening season, but already I've started thinking about the harvest. And I thought this would be a really good time to put together a little video using all the bits and bobs of photos and historic videos that I've got of how we actually make white wine from a very small number of vines. This is really small scale winemaking. The grapes are looking very clean this year. There are one or two very light mottles on the leaves, but so far no real signs of mildew. But nevertheless, I think I shall have to spray and keep the protection up. I use Bordeaux mixture, which is copper, the active ingredient, and also sulphur. So I'm covering downy mildew with the Bordeaux mixture and powdery mildew with the sulphur. Well, we've got some nice bunches under here, and hopefully we'll get some good grapes at the end of the season. It's the beginning of July at the moment, I think it's the 3rd, but we won't probably harvest this until about the 20th of September, but we'll see. We used to harvest earlier than that, but I think we've got better results by keeping it a bit later. Well, I've come down to the other row. At the top there's 4 plants of Chardonnay, and down here at the bottom we've got 4 plants of Semillon, and they're looking good as well. They will probably be a bit later than the Chardonnay, so if I do hold on till about the 20th of September for the Chardonnay, the Semillon could very well be just in the first week of October. I don't know if the phone picks it up, but you can just about see the little bits of copper on this older leaf. In actual fact, it's the copper on the underside that protects it against downy mildew. And now, just while I'm down here, I'll just pan round to the red grapes. On the right of the picture is our 1 row of Cabernet Sauvignon, and then in the background one of the 4 rows of Merlot. As the harvest time approaches, I start to try and estimate how much sugar and acid the grapes have. Now, unfortunately, particularly with the Semillon that you just saw, there are not enough grapes to make a decent sample, so I'm afraid it's a bit rough and ready and therefore a bit inaccurate. But I try to get it so that we will end up with a wine coming out at about 12.5% alcohol, which will enable it to keep nicely. Sometimes I get it right and sometimes I don't. There's quite a lot of variation in the grapes. But once I decide we're going to harvest, we pick them off, and then the first thing to do is to de-stem them and crush them. And these days we've got a stemmer and crusher together. That's the first time last year. Before that we used to pick the berries off each individual bunch and then crush them through a crusher manually. I don't have much footage of me doing the work with white grapes, so I'm using some footage of red grapes for this part of the film. Once they're crushed, I press them the same day, and this produces a nice slurry of grape juice and bits of grape, and I press that the same day to get the juice out. This is quite thick and cloudy, includes quite a lot of bits of debris, and so the very first thing we do with that is put it into the fridge and let it settle, and we can get it quite clear on that first settling. We also sometimes put in a Camden tablet to kill any wild yeast and bacteria. Then once it's settled, bring it out of the fridge, let it come up to room temperature and add yeast. And it ferments for about 10 or 15 days. And once it's finished fermenting, we rack it off into a new container and leave it to settle. The settling process is allowed to carry on until the wine is clear. And normally I've always bottled in the spring. This year we got about 5 bottles of Semillon, and we've got some Chardonnay as well, which I haven't bottled yet. There's about 5 litres, and I shall leave it in so-called bulk until I need the jar again for the next year's harvest. So that essentially is the business of producing white wine. I hope you enjoyed seeing it, and I enjoyed making it, and I enjoy making the wine as well. So that's all for now.